can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, Mr. Shin, I can hear you.
All right.
And I'm sure
Thank
everyone
you
can hear
so much. Yes, I'm so excited to be here today. Good morning to every single person on the call, and I want to welcome you to the Leadership Series 1.0. It's the first series of the leadership, first of the series of the leadership series we'll be having here. And the title today is Effective Leadership Strategy for Young Professionals in the Oil and Gas Industry. It's 11 o'clock. This is 11:01 already. I mean, as leaders, one of the things that we should be very particular about is punctuality and time management. So maybe because of the situation of things, I'm just going to allow 1 minute so that at exactly 11:02, we're going to kickstart. Our speaker is here with us. In the person of Dr. Charles Otogile. Don't worry, sit back, relax. I need you to get your pen and paper, your jotter, because there'll be so much to learn today. So in another 59 seconds, we're going to commence this session. All right, I think it's safe to start now. Good morning once again, and I want to welcome each and every one of you to this leadership series organized by the Young Professional Arm of the Nigerian Association of Petroleum Explorationists, Nape, under the leadership of our YP lead, Flora and OCOB. Today, we have one of our very own, speak to us on effective leadership, strategy for young professionals in oil and gas industry. Before I commence, my name is Sheon Ogundekwe, and I'll be your moderator for this series. Once again for joining us. So like I said, this is the first of the leadership series, and it will be presented to us by a senior geoscience consultant at SLB, Dr. Charles Otogile. For this session, it's supposed to last for approximately 2 hours, 15 minutes. I'll begin with the opening remark and introduce our facilitator, and then our facilitator will go straight into the webinar presentation for us. It will be very interactive, and I'm sure you can't wait to hear him speak. We'll have several questions and answers, and then there will be a raffle draw session.
Mr. Shion, I think there's an issue with your network.
Okay, can you hear me now? Is it better now?
Yes. We just had a small
maybe
glitch before.
Okay, that's fine. But can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, all right. So let me just continue. So I'll continue with I'll read out the brief profile of our speaker, and then I'll invite him straight on to give us the presentation. So Dr. Charles Otogile epitomizes the consummate geologist, boasting over 27 years of immersive experience in the oil industry's geological and operational domains. His expertise spans a spectrum of exploration and development projects across Africa, honed through adept utilization of industry standard software suites. Dr. Otogile's forte lies in the adeptness at integrating subsurface data to unearth new exploration prospects and institute optimal asset management strategies. A stalwart in his field, Dr. Otogile's professional repertoire extends beyond technical proficiency. He holds certification as a PDMP project manager and a diploma in International Sales Institute, UK, underscoring his commitment to excellence and leadership. He has held several positions across the oil and gas industry and presently a senior account manager at SLB, where he navigates the intricacies of managing accounts for international oil companies, local independents, and government entities with finesse. While his professional endeavor underscore his expertise, Dr. Otogile's personal compass is anchored by his family bonds. Married with two children, he finds equilibrium between his passion for geological exploration and the cherished moments spent with his loved ones. Dr. Otogile epitomizes the quintessential geologist, seamlessly merging technical acumen with a profound appreciation for life's multifaceted journey. Ladies and gentlemen on the call, permit me to welcome our speaker for today, Dr. Charles Otogile. Dr. Charles, Dr. Otogile, you're welcome. And thank
Thank
you
you
for
very much,
accepting our
Sean.
invitation. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you, everyone. I'm really personally happy to be here. And I recall earlier this year when I met with Flora, we're all together in the Nape Executive Retreat, and she did mention that she would like me to speak to the young professionals. I mean, personally, I was really excited. And in some ways, I would also say that I envy you, all of you young professionals. I really do, because some of the things you do now and you know now already, some of us do wish that we had them when we also started our career. We just find ourselves jumping into it and, like they say, moving wherever the wind takes us, right? But you, through the NAPE platform and through series of engagements you've been having on your leadership series, is honing yourselves to be better leaders. And that, for me, is something that is super wonderful. So thanks to the YP executives and thanks to all of you at the YP for inviting me. I hope you can all hear me well.
Yes, loud and clear.
Very well,
Okay,
sir. Very
great,
well.
great. So the way I would like to do this, I like it when it's interactive. It's not just me talking, and because it's virtual, you get this feeling that you're probably talking to yourself and not sure whether people are hearing you or not. So at any point you feel you have a question, I guess if you raise your hand, Sheon will see it, being the moderator, and then we'll give you the chance to speak. So please stop me at any time and we will get to it. I thought I shared my screen, but let me just quickly do that. So we will be looking at effective leadership and strategies for young professionals in the oil and gas industry. We know the industry we find ourselves in. And before I get into the leadership bit and all of that, just to throw something out there, I've also had people ask me questions around, with all these things coming up with the new energy, carbon capture, um, is fossil fuel, the life of fossil fuel, is it ending? You know, maybe it's something we can discuss as we go along, but just to get that out of the window, fossil fuel is still here. Fossil fuel is still here. The new energy mix is not going to provide enough energy that the world needs to consume. So for another 30, 40, 50 years, trust me, fossil fuel will still be here. And if it makes anyone more comfortable, the leading companies in renewables are still the oil and gas industries. They are making the most investments in it. And so it tells you that there's still a future. And just for joke, even if in the end they said, oh, all right, no more fossil fuel, let's kill it, let's stop it. There's also the abandonment process. You just can't stop it abruptly. something has to happen to the world, and it is still professionals like us that will still go and handle those abandonment processes. So just to get that out of the window, and we're all comfortable with that. So I just get to it very quickly. And two things I like to start with. And the first is, what is leadership? What do we understand by the term leadership? For me, by simple definition, is just a way, is a set of behavior that is used to help people align towards a direction, a collective direction with some clear strategies. That is clearly what, in my opinion, leadership is all about. And then the next question becomes, who is a leader? So a leader is someone who can see how things need to improve and who can rally people to move in the direction of a better vision. And I'm sure all of us have it in us in one way or the other. We found ourselves in position of leadership, whether in your church, whether in your house, whether in your office, whether in your social group, you name it. We all have um, those leadership skills in us. So today we're just going to be looking at what strategies we have. Um, I'm going to be speaking to a lot of things that we already know and how you can apply those things in the industry we find ourselves in, and it will become very clearly rewarding for all of us. So what are the things we need to know? You need to first of all develop a self-awareness, you know, and have some emotional intelligence attached to that. What do I mean? If I step back a bit, I know we've heard the word SWOT. So it's more like the way the direction for my presentation will go is you doing a SWOT analysis of yourself. What is your strength? What is your weakness? What are the opportunities that are before you? And what are the threats to those things? And we'll look, as we get into the presentation, we'll look deeper into this, into all of these things. So how much of self-awareness of yourself do you have? You need to understand yourself. What are the things I can do well? And trust me, anything you can do easily and you never get tired of doing, that is your strength. What are your weaknesses? What are the things that you need to identify them? Is it talking too much? Is it being shy? Am I scared of presenting? I had a former colleague who, this guy is super wonderful. I mean, really great guy when it comes to IT. And when we have very tough issues with clients, he's the one that usually go there. And when I say tough issues, I mean really, really tough issues with clients. And he would always tell you that when I finish setting up that system, even if a tsunami happens, the system will still stand. And trust me, this guy knows his work. But if you want to kill him, tell him to come and present what he has done. Once you tell him come and present, he melts completely. He cannot stand in front of people to make a presentation. So for him, presentation was a very big challenge. Understands your behavior. How do you behave? How do you react? What is the culture of the environment in which you find yourself where you're working? I know these days we always go by first name, and because the company is what the company says we should do, I step back a bit and in between all of these things, if you permit me, I'll also be telling you some stories and life examples with myself, of course, and some other um, people I know without clearly mentioning their names. So with regards to behavior, I remember back then when I was also a young professional and I started my career with Shell, we had a team building event. And so in the course of the team building event, we were shared into groups, into various groups. I remember clearly in the group I was sitting in, our exploration manager was there, And there were also other very senior people in the industry. Some of them we know, people like Kenny Ladipo, Dr. Kenny Ladipo, Dr. Joy Jedawe, Professor Betty Ozumba, were all sitting in the same group. And I imagine myself young, I mean, really young then, sitting with them, and the discussion was going on. And the topic was clearly on why is it, our manager was not asking, why is it that the younger people don't call the older people in the company by their first name, you know? And they were all talking about it. And this is me, the youngest in that particular group. I kept quiet and I was listening to them talk and deliberating on several things. And I remember our manager then asking that, hey, Charles, you haven't said anything. Let's hear your voice. And I told him clearly, I said, sir, um, the company policy is great. We call everybody by first name. But permit me, sir. And I turned to Dr. Ladibo at the time and told him, sir, please, with all due respect and apologies, I cannot call him Kenny, even though the company said we should do so. I cannot call him Kenny because culturally, that is not us. And I told him a story. I said, my elder brother is older than me with almost 2 years. And if we are eating together from the same plate, I'm not going to take meat before him. Everybody laughed. But this was me trying to bring our culture and our behavior into the system and said, and that's why you see when you call the older people, we all tend to put a prefix to it. Oh, Oga Kenny, Oga John, Uncle this, Sir this, Chief that. So because that's our culture. Um, with regards to emotions, how do you react? How is your emotion when things are not going right? You're working on something and it's not going right, or some of your colleague is really getting on your wrong side. How do you react to these things? So these are the qualities you must recognize them. You must know how to handle every single one of them in order for you to clearly understand yourself. So I'm going to be throwing these things out, and it's food for thought for us. Like I said, you feel free to interrupt me at any point in time. Um, Again, there must be empathy. We must cultivate that habit of empathy. Your colleague is out there struggling with something. You know how to fix it. By all means, step in and help. Step in and help. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. You're doing a project or you're handling a project. Bring other people in. Ask them, hey guys, what do you think about this? And you might be surprised that you are picking up ideas. The fact that you are given a position to lead doesn't mean that you know it all or you know it better than others. Sometimes there's this word they say leading from behind as well. You might not be in the forefront, being the team lead, the one leading, but you could be behind and orchestrating a lot of things and making sure things happen. I had someone talking the other day, and he made some profound statements. And he says leaders are problem solvers. Leaders are solution providers. That when you sit in your corner and you are impacting lives, you are a leader. When you are making credible suggestions, you're doing things that your particular organization is seeing and saying, yes, this guy is not yet carrying the title manager or team lead or whatever title your organization gives to people who are in position of leadership. But wherever you are in that your small space, you are making clear impact. You are making people happy. These things are noticeable. And before you know it, you start finding yourselves in meetings that you originally will not be in. They might be discussing something and they say, oh, because Shehu is the moderator, so Shehu, permit me to use your name and I'm going to use it severally. So I believe you've given me the permission to do so. So
That's
Shehu
fine.
can Shehu can be called into meetings where he sees that he's sitting with senior people, and he's probably asking himself, why am I here? Or why these people bring me into this meeting? Now, it's because there is a particular character you are displaying that is bringing that attraction. Because when you are making people happy, you are solving problems, you have a listening ear, you are showing empathy, compassion, ready to help, a clear team player, you see that you will grow, because leaders are raised and leaders cannot be erased. When you are in solving people's problem in your own small corner, trust me, nobody can put you down. Nobody can put you down. So the next bit we also need to look at, that you need to have and develop, is being flexible. How flexible are you? Some of us get stuck in our ways. This is the way I do it. This is the way I want to do it. This is how we must be doing it. There's nothing wrong with changing the narrative. There's nothing wrong with changing the system. And changing the system does not mean you just come and say, oh, it has to be, we used to shake hand, everybody's hand with the right hand. Okay, no, let's move it now. From tomorrow, we start shaking hands with the left hand. It might be a fantastic idea, but assuming someone doesn't have a left hand, is amputated in the left hand, what happens to him? So we must be flexible. We must be open to feedback. When you do something, you finish, have people around. Oh, you did a presentation, for instance. Have people say, oh, how was it? How was my presentation? What did I do right? What did I do wrong? You'll be willing to take those feedbacks and adjust to them as well. And if any one of us here is already in position of leadership, when you lead people, sit back one-on-one and ask them, can you appraise me? So it's more like what we call a 360-degree feedback. You're giving them feedback as your leader. You're asking also for their feedback. How do you think I can improve myself as your leader? Those are clear questions that we, as a leader, you need to look at in terms of self-development, in terms of your self-awareness. Oops, sorry. Apologies, sorry. Okay, yes. So again, another bit you need to look at as a leader is communication. I'd already started talking about that when I was saying, how is your presentation skills? How do you communicate to people? You can be saying the right things, but saying it the wrong way. You can be saying the right things, and people are not even listening to you. So how do you speak to people? Most people don't have the patience to hear stories. Unfortunately, in this our fast-moving AI and machine learning world, nobody has the patience. And if you're opportune to speak, note that you have the people's attention for the first 3 minutes. And when you lose that, it becomes extremely difficult for you to get their attention back. So how do you communicate? You must communicate with empathy. Your message must be well tailored, straight to the point. If you're speaking before your MD or the leadership team, go straight to the point. Sir, for this project, we started with 1, 2, 3. We moved on to phase 2 and we did 3, 4, 5. And in concluding, we're going to achieve 8, 9, 10. Simple. Then let them come back and ask you questions that they need to ask. Straight to the point. I asked someone this question the other time, a young professional too. And I said, assuming you find yourself, you are in a 20, 40-story building and trying to get into the elevator to go down. Immediately you open the elevator, you entered, and before the door could close, the CEO of, say, Amazon comes in to the elevator with you. And it's only the two of you that will go all the way down to the ground floor from the 40th floor, what will you do? It's something I want all of you to think about. What are you going to say to him? And I can tell you clearly, I know what 90% of the people in the room here will do. You just keep quiet and feel very uncomfortable. But the way I say it, that is an opportunity for you. Because when do you think you have the opportunity to engage such a person one-on-one, all to yourself? That is difficult. And what I would expect is that you immediately engage the CEO. How do you engage him? What do you engage him with? What is in that your organization? Now I bring it back home. Assuming you are in the same position with your MD or CEO of your organization, all to yourself. What are you going to do? What questions are you going to ask? What kind of discussion would you have with him? So you need to hone your communication skills in this case and ask very clear questions. Maybe something, if time permits, we can also look at, and I'll share some ideas I have around that. We must also learn to listen. Most people these days are very quick to interject. Somebody starts saying something, you don't wait for the person to finish speaking, and you just cut in. We must be active in listening. You must try and understand the concepts, the idea. What perspective is this person coming from? We must master the act of constructive feedback. You know, some feedbacks, instead of helping an individual, will kill the person. So feedbacks must be clear. They must be specific. You've made a presentation, or someone has made a presentation, and I've asked you, how do you think I fared? Straight to the point. Oh, this, you did well. I think you should have explained slide 3 better, because you should have mentioned this. I think you also have this mannerism, which you need to watch out for the next time you're going to present. I think you shouldn't, it must be specific. It must be actionable so that the person knows, okay, these are areas I need to now start improving myself on. And when next he or she is going to present, then the person learns to subconsciously watch out for those mannerisms, as they call them. You must also be open. Let your discussions be open. Let your discussions be things that can help people. When you have ideas, by all means, share. Share ideas that can help. All of you are say, for instance, YP members. Now you've got your YP leadership team. There might be one or two things you've seen in some conferences you've attended before, or some ideas that you think you can do to improve the activities of the YP. By all means, share. And when you begin to share your ideas here and there, it puts you in position of leadership. Remember, before we started, I told us clearly that leaders are people who, or someone who looks at how to improve a process and rally people around to do what? To make that change. That is what a leader is. And I know all of us already will know how to improve processes. So when you have those ideas, don't keep it to yourself. Don't say, oh, I'm too young to say this. I'm too small to say this. No, the fact that you are in that meeting room, if you had nothing to offer, you wouldn't be there. So the fact that you're in that meeting room means you have something to offer. And because you have something to offer, if you have an idea, say it. Now your communication skill now helps you to know how to say it. And if it's before your bosses, I give an example. Sir, if or ma, if I may suggest, then you say what you want to say. Because using the right words is also very, very key. As young professionals and as young leaders, you must also be skilled in negotiation. And trust me, all of us have got that negotiation skill. It all depends on how you do it. And if anybody tells me they don't have it, then I'll tell the person, you probably don't go to the market. Because once we go to the market to get anything, even if it's a pen that you have to buy, and you say, how much is a pen? And the malam tells you, 20 naira or 50 naira. You're like, malam, since when? No, are you not selling 10 naira or 5 naira? What are you doing? You're already negotiating. You're already negotiating. So we must learn to negotiate. And sometimes when you have series of ideas on the table, you not really have to negotiate for your idea to also be there. You must show why you believe the idea I have is good and needs to be incorporated into the whole thing that we are doing. And trust me, even if it's not taken, it's also good. I give example with my children. When they were much younger, they just come to me and they say, "Oh, daddy, I need this." And I'm like, "Why do you want it?" And they said, "Because I want it." And I said, "Because I want it doesn't mean you get it." So they go. And then later they come back again and ask, "Daddy, I want this." And I said, "Why?" And they begin to give me reasons why they want it. And I begin to knock off those reasons. And they go back and they think about it. Now in my home, I'm just gradually at their small level teaching them how to negotiate. And trust me now, they are so good at it. When they tell me they want something, I say no, and we're not going to talk about it. Especially when I know I don't have the money to give them, because I know they will convince me to do what they want to do. So at every level you're in, don't wait until you carry a title of a CEO or whatever title there is before you now begin to say, let me start practicing this. You should already begin to exhibit those skills as you grow in your career. Is there any question from anyone? I guess I should go ahead.
Yes, you can. None that I can see so far.
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
you can go
not a
ahead.
problem then. Okay, so another thing that you need to look at is you have to learn to foster a collaborative environment. We must all, as a leader, that is one skill that you must have. Remember again, when I was defining leadership, a leader, I said someone who looks at how to improve a process and rally people around to improve that process. So in order for you to do it, you must establish trust. You must build an environment where people can trust you, where people can say, oh, if I go and discuss this with Sheung, I'm going to come out better. Because I believe Sheung would tell me things that would help me improve the process. Why? Because Sheung in himself has built that environment around him and around the people that he's working with. We must look at everything we're going to do. What are the risks associated with it? If I have a deliverable, why am I delivering it? If I don't deliver it, what are the risks associated with it? We must be open to address conflicts because as human beings, we don't all have to agree on the same thing. And if everybody agrees on the same thing, and if Sheung is agreeing to everything I'm saying, and I'm agreeing to everything Sheung is saying, then one of us is a zombie. And we are not zombies. We are all very highly skilled and intelligent people. So that environment of trust at whatever level you find yourself in must be established. Whether you're leading from the front, remember, like I said, if you're not leading from the front, you can be leading from behind. You must be able to promote leadership, independence or interdependence, good teamwork. The team you're in, how are people behaving there? The team needs to have a bond. And I use the example of my team in the office, the sales team for Nigeria and West Africa. We have so formed a bond amongst ourselves that even now our HQ when they engage us, they are telling us, you guys need to teach all the other SIB units globally how to establish clear bond. Because we are together, we support each other, we move as a pack. If somebody is dealing with a particular client and there are challenges, he comes to the office or he or she comes and say, look, I'm dealing with this guy, these particular people, guys. Look at this thing. What do you think we should do? And all of us sit down, rally around, pitching ideas. Oh, have you thought of this? Can we try this? Can we do this? Can we do that? And by the time he or she goes back to meet this particular client to negotiate, the deal is 99% most times sealed because there is a good teamwork. Everybody is relying on the other person because what is your weakness can just be another person's strength. So draw strength from that person. It will only do one thing. It can only improve you as an individual. And I also would like to mention, when you now go out there and is successful, please do give credit to the people who supported you. Don't go out there and say, I. It's a team. Remember to acknowledge in the course of doing this, my team members provided all the necessary support. Empowerment. That you are leading doesn't mean you must do everything. Seek out diverse viewpoints. Seek out diverse viewpoint. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? When we sit down sometimes in our management meetings, those are the things we do. And in some of those meetings, young professionals are also brought in. Let's hear from these people. What do they think? And as a leader, when you sit down and collate all of those ideas together, it can only but improve the process. And permit me to step back to families. If you look at yourselves today, a time was for those whose parents are still alive. A time was when your parents are making decisions. They don't call you. You just know that this was done in the family and that's it. But I'm sure most of us now, before our parents begin to make decisions, they seek your opinion. And they go, oh, Sheon, we're planning to do this. What do you think? It is because they are now beginning to see that you've got some experience, you have some things to put to the table, that your ideas also matter. And the only way your idea can matter is when you begin to show those tendencies, you begin to show those skills, you begin to show that I have a listening ear, you begin to show that I'm a good team player. I support everyone in the team and also support myself. Experiences you've had in other places, you can put all of that on the table. And it could be novel and innovative experiences that can also be shared. The next habit that you need to look at again is how do you then navigate your organizational dynamics and power structure? You started your career in your particular organization. How do you navigate it? And this can be in several fronts. Several fronts. One, your technical skill matters. What do you know? And I dare say, I'm believing that most of us here are geologists by background. The question becomes, how much skills do you display as a geologist? When we sit down and we're looking at that project, what can you bring to the table? What improvements have you done for yourself? Because those are the things the management people begin to look at. Which direction is your organization going to? A lot of times you see some people, maybe in the organization, they are doing a webcast, and so MD is going to brief the entire staff around what our Q1 achievements are, or they are giving a Q1 report, for example. Do you sit down there in those things, or do you feel, man, I'm still very low in the ladder? Whether I'm there or not, it doesn't matter. I can use that time to quickly dash to go and do this or do that. That is a wrong move. Be in those meetings, because it is in those kind of meetings that you know the direction your organization is going to. What is management thinking? As an organization, are we making profits? Are we losing? Are there challenges the organization is facing? How is the management already handling and dealing with those organizations? Now, you may not necessarily have an idea to suggest in those kind of meetings, but you are learning and drawing from the experience of those ahead of you that issues like this came and this is how they handled it. It is in those kind of meetings you also hear the strategies where the organization is leaning towards. And if you now don't have those skills that will make you relevant, you begin to do what? Harness those skills. You begin to find ways to improve yourself so that you can be there. Earlier on in my career, I remember someone telling me, a very senior manager at the time, he said, Charles, it's good and great for you to be behind the screen, interpret the seismic, come up with the best of maps, come up with the best of the geological models. That's very fine. But your understanding of the organizational landscape is also very important. How are your networks within your organization? How many senior people know you? Not know you because you are out there being in their face and not contributing much, but know you as, oh, I know that in this project, I believe if we include Sheung here, it's going to help. He has the right skills to fit into that project. Because you must also show what you've known. How many times have you sat down with your manager and said, sir, which direction is this organization going? And how can I align in that direction so that I become more and more relevant to the organization? Those kind of discussions you must learn to have with your manager. Now, the frequency of it is up to yourself and your manager, but that's one way you can begin to navigate that workplace politics. You can, for instance, do something on your own, maybe do some extra certification. Let your boss know, oh, sir, I'm improving myself. I am doing XYZ course with university of this or university of that. And the beautiful things, and I'm sure probably a lot of you might know this more than me, a lot of the Ivy League universities around the world are offering very wonderful free certification courses that can help you improve yourselves and your skills. And in some cases, if it's the one you think you need to go pay for, by all means pay for it. Because at the end of the day, when they sit down in management and say we need a team lead for a particular team, and we've got 3, 4 people to look at, all of them might just be technically equal in terms of technical. Great sound minds, sound geologists, they know what they need to do. Now, what management will do is they start looking for what other skills do they have. And that is where those soft skills begins to matter. How much of leadership skill do they display? How quick do they make decisions? Because at your own level, you make a decision. If you're given a project to do, you interpret it, you come out, you present it, and you defend your presentation. and your presentations or your results are challenged and you defend them. That is you also making decision on the spot. So how much of those soft skills do these individuals have? And that is what they now use to assess why Mr. A is going to be taken ahead of Mr. C or vice versa. So those things needs to be understood. Who are the key stakeholders? When last did you go to your HR and ask the question, what are the things I need to do, or what are the requirements I need to have for me to progress from this particular position I'm in to the next level of position? Or you're probably just sitting and waiting, okay, they promote me when they want to promote me. No, your career is in your hand. And the other way that you can also use to navigate the industry and organizational landscape is what you're already doing. You're here, present at this Nape YP Leadership Series. Within Nape, which is a very great platform for networking, how many people do you know? Are you very popular within YP? And then in the bigger Nape body, nobody knows you. Conference planning is going on. How many of those committees have you volunteered to be in? I say, I'd like to join this committee. And you look for the chairman or co-chair or who you know in those committees to say, I'd like to join this committee. I know someone who started off as a student volunteer in Nape today. Just me sort of stopping short of calling names because I didn't take his permission to mention his name. But when I tell the story, maybe some of you might know him. He may have also shared it with you. He started off as a student volunteering for Nape, graduated, went for job interview in his organization, got employed, became an clear active member of Nape, supporting Nape in every time possible volunteering. He's growing in his organization today. And today in his organization, once they mention Nape, the senior management in that organization will say, go and call him. Oh yeah, come. Come and tell us what we need to do here, how we need to support Nape. And that is him. He has used this platform to navigate through the organizational dynamics in his organization. So these skills and these things are very important for us to have. Sorry, I think I moved too fast. Yeah, okay. So how do you drive innovation? Change is inevitable to man. And I think I've also seen a fair share of change in this industry. When I started off my career, I started off with interpreting on 2D seismic line. Pretty long. I'm sure some of us have seen the 2D line. Very long. We put it on the table, and then you begin to interpret with crayon. Over time, today, we're all using computers to do those. And then machine learning and AI have come, where I can sit down if I have if I train that particular seismic data well enough to understand the things, the horizons I need to pick. I just click a button to say propagate it, and then it just starts to interpret everything for me. It might just take me another 5 10 minutes or 15 minutes, depending on your experience, to train the seismic data to exactly the loops you want it to pick. And after that, it just propagates, and before you know it, you've interpreted the whole large area of seismic. Whether you're interpreting the horizon, whether you're interpreting the fault, you have to be adaptable. You must have that cultural mindset to be open. Always ask yourself, is there a different approach to this process? Must we continually use this same process? Is there another way to do it? And once you begin to think like that, that makes you adaptable, and that already leads you to thinking innovative thinking. Look at what are there unconventional ways we can do this. What kind of environmental setting do we have? How can we change those things? Those thinking needs to be encouraged. I remember some years back in the course of my career, we went to a particular company, and we were presenting on some new developments that have come up in petrol. And I remember this particular reservoir engineer, veteran, very skilled, very experienced reservoir engineer. And in the course of using Eclipse, for those who have used it before, you know that one way you can use it is you need to know the right keywords to put in. Putting it in very simple terms, you're doing like a Nintendo approach to coding. And by the time we finished the presentation, the guy just asked the question. He said, look, do you mean now that all those keywords and all those skills on writing those codes and things that I know are irrelevant? We said, sir, yes, with the way technology has gone, it is irrelevant. That with just a simple click, the system will run all those things for you at the background. But that does not negate the experience, because if you throw in garbage, you know you're going to get garbage out. So your experience comes with now checking the results, but the process is now a lot faster. So how transformed are you getting digitally? We talk about AI, we talk about Internet of Things, we talk about machine learning. How much of it do you know? How much of it can you apply to your day-to-day job in order to improve the process, in order to improve efficiency? The oil and gas industry is fast and quickly adapting to digital transformation. Companies are gradually and changing the way they do things. And this we all know and we see in our own very eyes. I don't need to start mentioning names of those apps. I'm sure if we throw that challenge out, all of you out there will win me. We must continue to learn. The new future is renewables. How much of renewable skills do you have? The things going on around the renewables, how many do you know? Policies that are being put in place, for instance, I know now, whether we like it or not, in Nigeria, come 2026, the rate at which organizations will be talking about renewables will be different from the way they're talking about it now. Why? Because the EU has put a law that says from 2026, for any country that is exporting gas or crude to them, you must show records of your emission. that it must be captured and clear. If you don't have that, no EU country is going to take your gas or oil. So organizations will soon start thinking towards getting people skilled in that direction. This is an opportunity for you to be ahead of the curve by learning those skills now and show to your management that I've got those skills. No wonder you're also beginning to see companies changing their names now, rebranding to energies, Total Energies, Seplat Energy. And even us at SLB, we've rebranded from Schlumberger to SLB. And our logo has changed. And these are all towards what every organization, everyone getting ready, prepared for the future. And what is that future? Renewables. How much of it do you know? So as leaders, you must be able to see, you must be visionary and know the trend and the direction that the industry is going to and position yourselves there. The next bit we'll look at is decision making and problem solving. Every day of our lives, irrespective of our position, we make decisions. And there are very simple ways to do it. What is the problem? Clearly identify what the issues are. What are the underlying factors? What are the showstoppers? And once you've identified the problem, like they say, problem said is what half solved. As a leader, whether today or a leader tomorrow, that is one skill we must all have. The other bit becomes, how do we solve it? What are the solutions available? Conventional or unconventional? We run analytics on those solutions. Which one best fits what we want to do? And in the course of the analysis, we begin to look at what are the pros, what are the cons in those solutions. Do some deep thinking, do some research around those solutions. And once we've done that, then of course, the next bit will now be executing it. And in the course of execution, what impact is it going to have? What contribution will each of those solutions bring to the table? How informed and how will those solutions affect or impact the organization? Because if your organization, for instance, say, oh, we're working towards by year, say 2025, we want to be producing 100,000 barrels of oil per day. There must be a process to it. Your decision in your own small space would impact that goal that has been set. So those decisions you make collectively, how does it impact the overall decision of your organization? As leaders, we must learn to harness all of this. And like the saying goes, we must learn to think at your feet. Decisions on the go. Very fast, very quick. I remember a particular situation when I was earlier on in my career, I was on the rig and we're drilling. Everything was going well at some point. Unfortunately for me, I was the only operation geologist on the rig at the time, an offshore rig, because we were short-staffed. So I had to be working almost 24 hours. But I took a break and told the guys that, look, let me go take a nap so I can be strong enough for tomorrow. And I went to sleep. At about, I think, 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., the drillers came and woke me up. And when I woke up, I asked, "Is there a problem?" The guy said, "Yes." And I said, "What is it?" He said, "I think we are lost. We don't know where we are." Be honest, my heart skipped. And this is me young in my career. I'm like, what am I supposed to do here? I told him, okay, I changed, put on my coverall. I went to the direct floor, brought out, mind you, at this time, the best of technology was radio, walkie talkie, from the rig to the office. And the other next best to it was a fax machine, which you also pray that the radio signal is very good so that when you send a fax, the people in the office can see it. But this was me at the rig at 2 a.m. Who's going to be in the office that you call at 2 a.m.? So I have to make a decision because they're all waiting for me. And as at that time, if I recall, um, Shell then was paying about, I think, $60,000 per day on that particular rig. So while they are waiting for me, $60,000 is flying through the window. And I told them, okay, what I think we need to do, let's circulate at a spot. Just be circulating where you are. Let me run some correlations and find out where we are at. And all the real-time logs that we have, I sat down and started doing the correlation. And on second thought, I called my boss. When I called his house from the rig, the wife picked and told me that he traveled to Warri, Shell Warri office at that time, and he will be at the guest house. I don't have the number for the guest house to call. So I had to call our exploration manager. All the while I was doing this, it was already hitting 2:45 or almost 3 o'clock. And my manager picked at about 3:15ish. And I told him what the issues were and the decision I've made. And I asked him, "Sir, what do we do?" And he asked me, he said, "Charles, if you are in my shoes, what will you do?" So this was me running to him for solution, and he's throwing the decision back to me to make. And I told him, well, from my experience, we should continue drilling, and I'll ask them to be sending me an updated log every 10 minutes, because I already know our rate of penetration and know that, okay, at that rate, every 10 minutes is a good time to get a new log. And eventually I'll be able to correlate and know exactly where we'll be. And he said, okay, go ahead. And before I could say another word, he dropped the phone. So this was me sitting on the rig to make an operation decision on behalf of Shell. And I was just probably 4 years in my career at that time. Thank God for God. We continued drilling, and I was able to correlate and know the reservoir we're in. By 6 a.m. in the morning, when he called me, he was already in the office. He called the rig and said, "So Charles, where are we?" I told him, "This is the exact reservoir we're in, but I need to call you back." Why? Because as at that time, the rig was vibrating. We had drilled straight into a very big reservoir of oil. So we need to increase our mud weight to stabilize the rig and all the several operational things. While all that was going on, I faxed him the rig, the logs, and we knew we found it was a very big find. I'm just stopping short of mentioning the field, And Shell is still operating that till today. And they were all busy in the office celebrating because I could hear the noise while we were already at the rig because it was vibrating, looking for how to suppress the pressure. Otherwise, we look for ways to quickly evacuate ourselves out of there. But I had to make a decision. Now, it wasn't just me, Charles, alone making that decision, but everyone on the rig, the drilling engineers, the mud loggers, we all had to huddle together and say, look, we must fix this thing. It's our duty to fix it. And we did. So those things can come at you at any time. You don't necessarily have to wear a particular title in order for you to say, yes, I can make a decision, or I cannot make a decision. We must, as a leader, inspire people. We must inspire and motivate people. Leaders make people happy. Lead by example. In character, in model, in the way you speak. The way you lead is what others will follow. In some organizations, you see some people all wanting to belong to a particular team. And everybody is to run away from one particular team. That you are leading doesn't make you Lord and Master. Empathy is the word. In some other a group I belong to, not just my organization, there was someone who was leading us at that time. And when he was being transferred, a lot of the younger people cried. They felt sad. It was as if somebody died. Because he was just this wonderful, charismatic guy. In character, in communication, you can count on him. As a leader, you must learn to celebrate people. When members of your team do something, recognize and acknowledge it. A simple well done does wonders. And from the story I just told you, when the rig was stabilized, everything was okay. I picked the phone and I called my manager back. I said, sorry, I couldn't call you. This was what was going on. He said, no, he understands. And he told me, well done. That you see, your decision that we should continue drilling was the right one. And when I got to the office, I was recognized for it. So we must learn to recognize people. It does boost more. The little things people do, recognize them. Even if you're not leading, or recognize the achievement of others. If it's your boss that has succeeded in something, oh, sir, well done. Great accomplishment you have. Someone gets a promotion, by all means, acknowledge it. Congratulate the person. These things boost morale. It shows excellence. It shows that you are selfless as an individual. And if you notice, I'm speaking in both directions, both for those who are leading now and those who are not yet leading, but the kind of character you need to have and exhibit so that you'd easily find yourselves in position of leadership. Remember the statement I made earlier. I said leaders are raised and cannot be erased. And the qualities these qualities, when you display them, you can't be erased. A friend was telling me a conversation he once had with a former CEO of Shell globally, and asked him clearly, "Sir, what did you do to eventually become the CEO of a big organization like Shell at a global level?" And these were the things he said. He said, "I learned to support people. Someone is doing something great, I support it. I learned to inspire people, motivate them." That all through his career, he can count the number of times he was rated A, but he eventually became the CEO because as he was improving in his career, he was also improving those skills. And it was clear to all that he is relevant, that he will always ask himself, which direction is the company going to? And when he understands that direction, he will align himself in that direction. You must also provide feedback. Like I've said, I think I've dealt on this quite a lot. You must provide feedback. And feedback is two ways. When you give it, be ready to take it. How many of us in the YP today have mentors? How many of us are also mentoring people? The people you mentor doesn't necessarily have to be people in your organization. It could be in your social gathering, it could be in your church, it could be in your mosques. It could even be in your estate or wherever. How many of those people younger than yourselves, secondary school, you name it, or even university, that you are taking on the wings and say, okay, come, let me fly with you. In SLB today, in SLB is a must. Irrespective of your position, you must have a mentor. Irrespective of your position, everybody has a mentor. And the mentorship, it doesn't have to be a very senior person. In fact, I was surprised one day when one of our presidents, when we're all in a meeting and talking, and he was telling us that, oh, he had a meeting with his mentor, which internally in SLB we call coach. So I spoke with my coach 2 days ago, and I was like, so who's your coach? Who's your coach? He laughed. And when he mentioned the guy's name, the guy was way, way, way low down the ladder. The guy could probably work in SLB for another 15 or 15 plus odd years if he's moving very fast to become a president. But the president picked him as his coach. Why? Because he's got something to offer that he needs. He's got a skill. So we must all have it so that we can grow. We must foster collaboration, encourage teamwork. Let's come together, let's do things. And I would say kudos to all of you in YP, because I mean, speaking from a Nape executive point of view, I would say this, and you are also inspiring the bigger Nape body, because clearly we see clear purpose, clear direction of what you want to do and how you want to achieve it. And you've also got great leadership in the YP. Mm. The likes of Flora, when you people need something, this is an aside now. Uh, the likes of Flora and Sheon, they let my phone ring off the hook until I answer them, especially when they need approvals with cash. And that's a good thing to do. So we must work collaboratively as teams. Learning is a never-ending process. The day you stop to learn is the day you die. You must continue to learn. Never look at yourself and say, I am too old. You're never too old to learn. There's always something new out there for you to learn. You must develop yourself professionally. And in order to do that, ask yourself, where am I going to? What is your 5-year plan for yourself? If I pick myself now and say, oh, me, Sheon, again, Sheon, apologies. I did tell you I'll use you a lot today. So if I pick myself and say, I'm Sheon, in 5 years' time, I want to be this. What are the skills I need to get there? So for me to get there, I need to identify the gaps. What are the gaps? Where are the areas of improvement? And once I know those gaps, because you are the best judge of yourself, the next thing becomes, since I know the gaps, mentor. I spoke about this a little bit earlier. Connect with someone who you know would help you grow, who will point you in the right direction. Someone who, as is growing, would love to see you grow. Someone who takes joy in contributing to young professionals. So don't just pick a coach for the sake of picking a coach. And even if you have a mentor, it doesn't mean now that for every single thing you do, you run to him. Have scheduled time with your mentor so that when you have an engagement with your mentor, at the end of the meeting, your mentor will sit down and ask himself, huh, it was a useful time with my mentee. Let him or her be someone you can open up to and say, these are the gaps I have. These are the ways I want to improve. What better ways do you think? And when all that is done, you must embrace learning. There is no end to training. You must participate in workshops, seminars. I've already talked about several online free certification courses that are going on in various Ivy League universities. And these skills could be technical, it could be soft skills. It could be simple things like communication. It could be simple things like how to write an email. It could be simple things like public speaking. Those are all skills. How many of you have submitted abstracts for this current Nape conference? Because you can also show yourself as a technical leader, where if you stand and talk about something and they say, oh, who said it? Is it Sheon? You say, if Sheon said it, then it's correct. You've shown enough skill enough mastery of that particular subject that in the industry you are respected. That is leadership. It's not about bearing a title to your name. I was listening to a talk the other day, and the speaker was saying that great people, great leaders don't have titles. And permit me, was giving examples with names from the Bible and elsewhere. He said great leaders don't have titles. And he gave example. He said Nelson Mandela. Nobody called him President Nelson Mandela. I can't remember ever. But everybody just goes, Nelson Mandela. Because he built something around so much. He impacted life so much that his first name speaks volume. Mahatma Gandhi. Nobody says Prime Minister Mahatma Gandhi. Mother Teresa. Mark Zuckerberg. Bill Gates. They have several other titles, PhD, professor, whatever, but they don't put titles to their names because their name is enough. They've contributed so much that the name makes impact. And when we have learned those things, we must implement them. Don't acquire the new skill and just off your shoulder and go around, yeah, I'm Microsoft certified or I'm SRB Petra certified professional. Apply the new skill in your day-to-day work immediately. So we begin to look at, as a roundup, the corporate social responsibility and the ethics of being a leader. Integrity. Integrity counts. You must, as an individual, be honest. You must be transparent. You must be accountable in your organization, in your social cycle, in your religious group, in your neighborhood. How do people see you? When you're dealing with other vendors for your, on behalf of your organization, are you transparent? Your decisions must be clear and ethical at all levels, all levels. You must promote sustainability. And that is one thing that is big now for every organization, as far as they're in the oil and gas, sustainability. What is your organization doing to impact the environment? How are you helping to support that? There's nothing stopping you from telling your organization, look, let's go out there and pick a beach, for instance, and go clean it. Any of those local beaches, not the private ones that are just looking clean. Let's go clean it. Let's pick a particular environment and make sure the place is okay. Let's go on a tree planting campaign. And kudos to all of you at the YP. I know it's the last year or the year before last. I can't remember now. You have to do some things for the on-age and all of that. That is impactful. That is promoting sustainability. We must also foster social responsibility. How much of those do we support? There are reputable organizations that are always calling for funds. Red Cross, Salvation Army, Rotary Club, Lions Club, you name it. And even in your own small social cycle, do something, volunteer for something. And in the course of all of this, one skill you must have is to be able to manage risk properly. You must look at what are the potential risks, what are your company's policy in line with those, making sure that the industry regulations are clearly followed. And if you're in the position to lead, make sure that compliance is 100%. Safety, for example. The safety rules must clearly be adhered to at all times. And it is you as a leader that needs to also show those particular skills. I'll round up again with these few words before I guess we go into the Q&A part of it. And that is, you as an individual, do a SWOT analysis on yourself. For you to be a great leader, you must know your strengths. You must know your weaknesses. And when you identify those weaknesses, you seek help in fixing them. You must know what opportunities are there for me. And in order for you to know this, go to your HR, ask them questions. What are the skills I require to move to the next level, for example? Go to your senior management and ask those questions. What are the threats? Threats in this case is not the people around you, but threats, you yourself being a threat to yourself. How do I behave? What are my attitude? What are my reaction to things? How do I approach work? And if we're able to do all of this, we all become clearly leaders at various spheres in the oil and gas industry. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for listening to me. I hand it over to you, Seun, if there are questions or anything we need to talk about.
A big thank you to you. Thank you so much, Dr. Otogile. This was really a rich and powerful session. Thank you so much for that conversation. I know along the way you wanted us to stop and then drop some questions, ask you some questions, but it seems like there was a particular flow that everyone just wanted to maintain, and we're all waiting for you to land. Again, I want to say a big thank you. All of my jottings, all of my writings here have been so full that I'm not even going to attempt to make another presentation. I like that when you started, you commenced with letting us know that we need to develop self-awareness and emotional intelligence. And in order to do that, you gave us several ways that we will be able to achieve some of these. We need to understand ourselves. We need to show empathy and compassion. We need to be able to adaptable and then to be flexible as well. Then along the way, you shared how we need to build strong interpersonal communication skills. I think that was very needed at this point. You went further to tell us how to foster a culture of collaboration and then and teamwork as well, where we have to establish trust, promote interdependence, empower diverse perspectives, And I like that you also move forward to describe how we have to navigate organizational dynamics and power structures. Because I mean, for every organization, there has to be all of these different dynamics to put in play. You pushed us to drive innovation and embrace change wherever we find ourselves. And I also like that you went further to give us how to make effective decision to make decisions effectively, and how to be problem solvers. And I like that you went very personal with that, where you shared the experience with us as a 3 or 4 year old experienced geologist, and you're on the rig and you have to make a quick decision as to the future of the company. That was really, really, really inspiring. And you broke that down to tell us how to define problem, to generate options, and then how to evaluate and then make that decision. Thank you so much for sharing that personal experience with us. You went further to tell us about inspiration and motivation of employees. And finally, you rounded all of this presentation up by giving us, by highlighting the need for continuous learning and professional development. And you ended up with highlighting the ethical leadership and corporate social responsibility, and it's 4 different points. For me, it's several things to take home aside from all of these different things I had mentioned. And I know along the way, you defined a leader or leaders. They are problem solvers and solution providers. That really went deep with me. And one of the things I'm also looking forward to was when you said, you asked every one of us on the call that if we're to enter the elevator or the lift with the CEO, and the example you gave was of Amazon, but in our different areas, it could be the CEO or MD of any organization that we look forward to wanting to work with. What are we going to say in that 40 seconds or 10 seconds or 15 seconds? In that very short time, what are we going to say? And I'm really, really, really looking forward to how you guide us on this. And your last words, very, very necessary. As leaders, we need to do this SWOT analysis. I can't go further. I can go further to continue to do this, but I'm not going to be the speaker, another speaker for this session. Thank you once again, Dr. Charles Otogile, for this powerful presentation that you have given to us. The floor is open. There are two options we can use to ask our questions. You can choose to type your questions in the chat box or use the raise hand option. So when you raise your hand, you'll be called upon, and then you have the floor to quickly go make your comments or go straight to your questions. And then Dr. Otogile will be here to respond to each and every one of us. Let me quickly check the chat box if I would see anything. Several comments. Oh, can the slides and the recording be shared after the call? We'll reach out to Dr. Otogile to let us know how we
Please
will make this
share. There's
available
no
to us.
secret there.
Thank you so
I'll send
much.
you the slides and you share it. It's not a problem.
Thank you. So Sam, your question has been answered, and I know the leadership. Siloko is on the call, is the public relation officer for the YP. It will make this recording available to each and every one of us as well. We see all your comments from Itimi Wisdom. Thank you, sir. From Ifeanyi Victor, one of its kind. Thank you very much, sir. This was very educating. From Lawrence Osuago, Dr. Togile, thank you so much for this insightful presentation. From Rita, very insightful. Thank you so much. But let me begin since I'm on this floor now. And I know when you started, one of the things I picked from your conversation was the need to speak up. I know you also shared an experience where you were in a gathering, and then along the way, even some of your managers had already had asked you for your contribution. So my question will be very direct. What do you do in a situation where you speak up, but your manager or your or those that you look up to keep shutting you down?
Very good question. And most of them they are not. This is what happened because you looked at like this young guy. What does he know? you know, it's a cultural thing with us. Would they listen to you when you speak? It's a yes or no. The question becomes, I ask is, how do you speak? And that's where communication skills comes in. Sometimes you might not. I'm trying to figure out a particular scenario. For instance, okay, I step back to the one I was mentioning where I had to tell our manager that there is no way I'm going to be calling Dr. Kenny Ladipo Kenny. And that was me speaking up. I explained to him, I said, look, we have a culture here in Africa, and the culture is that elders are respected. The way we're all trained, you don't call your elder by name, and that is a culture we have. So by the time I explained it from that cultural perspective, he understood me. Now, if you speak up and you're not listening to, that's fine. There's no hard feelings. You have spoken up. It is clear. That particular leader might not need the solution at that time, but you've made a point. Those around know that you've made a very viable suggestion. Now, sometimes you not also being accepted, if I flip it the other way, could also be that you are challenging the status quo. And the question is on what basis and how much of facts do you have to challenge it? So it comes down to the when, the how, and the where you are making those suggestions. And if you're making it in the right avenue and in the right place, why not? It will be taken. For instance, if your boss had said something and the idea you have, you know, is contrary to what your boss has said, and is going to expose, in quotes, some mistakes in the speech your boss has made. I would advise you not to say it there, but rather privately meet him and say, oh, sir, in the meeting you were saying this and this and this. I had a suggestion. Oh, what if we do this and this and this and this thing? Do you think is okay? So he can look at it, because if your suggestion is going to be to make a ridicule of him, for lack of better word use, then definitely it's going to shut you down. But I know if your idea is great, speak up. And sometimes it's just only by speaking. You can also send it via email to your boss and say, sir, for these things that we want to do, these are my thoughts. There's one of my colleagues who's very wonderful at that, and I learned it from him, Miles, Miles Denton. You know, he's in our UK office. We sit down, we have these global meetings, and Miles have some very fantastic idea. He scribbles it all on a paper, and while we are having the virtual meeting like this, he will just post it there. So, oh, permit me, but here are my thoughts around this, and he just drops it there. Now, whether they take it further or not, he's dropped his ideas there. Now, what has that done for someone like Miles? When they are looking at, okay, let's think of innovative and new ways to think, to figure out how to do something, they always pull him into those meetings. Even in some of those meetings, he is not at the level of being in those meetings to speak. But because he was always looking for very intuitive and innovative ways to make his ideas known and heard, now they are listening to him. I don't know if I answered the question clearly, but it's a question that's two-edged. So know when, where, and how to speak. That's also another skill you must have in order to avoid, in order to be heard. Because it's always a good thing when you're heard. And it's a good thing when you see that your decision is taken on board and implemented.
All right,
Thank you.
that helps. Thank you so much. Thank you for that response. I mean,
Yeah.
you had highlighted it, several points to take out of this. It is particularly in the communication. Yeah, what I understand that we might have a good intention, it is also very important to communicate that intention very well, politely, and then going straight to the point. Thank you so much for that response. Um, Again, for everyone on the call, feel free to drop your questions in the chat box, or you can use the raise hand option if you want to be called upon to ask your question. Once I see your hand raised, I'll call you up and then you would have the floor to make your comments or drop your questions. Dr. Togile, so
Yes,
towards the
please.
end of your presentation again, I know you encouraged a lot of us. I mean, thank you so much for the kind words you have said to us at the YP level. We really encourage it. It's this support that continues to push us further. But one of the questions I would like to ask, it will be an advice to all of us here on the call, is you encourage us to do a lot of volunteering. And what advice or what guide would you give to a just a recent graduate who doesn't have any financial source of income, who doesn't have any stream of income particularly, because I know whether we like it or not, in every volunteering activity, there needs to be like a financial contribution to it. But in the case where I need to contribute, I need to just drop in my quota. I mean, what innovative ways or what ways will you advise or guide so that I can be part of it? You've said several ways, you've given us several examples, or how many of us are part of the different committees planning this year's conference, for example. I mean, for personal development as well, well, that is really on another end. That how many of us have also submitted our abstracts for the presentation, but that is on one side. But particularly, what guide or encouragement will you give to us in order to get involved and participate in volunteering?
Okay. I mean, volunteering is, first of all, personal. If you're volunteering yourself for something, you have to also believe in what you're volunteering yourself for. And because you believe in it, you get motivated by it. So I narrow it down to Nape. You believe in the association. You love the association. And that's why you are a member. And if I narrow it further to the analogy you put, a young graduate, no money. Money has zero thing to do with this. Now, a young graduate who joins, let's say, for instance, management planning committee. I just throw one committee out there, right? For the NAPE conference. A lot of the meetings are virtual. Most subcommittee meetings these days are virtual. You're a member, you join, you're contributing the little you can in that small group. You get known there. Now, let's say you have a financial challenge with coming for attending the conference proper. There's nothing wrong with you whispering it to the chairman or co-chair of your subcommittee and say, look, I'm a student or newly graduated. I love to attend the conference, but I can't raise the money to even register or accommodate myself during the period of the conference so I can fully support this. Trust me, people in that group will sponsor you. I know people have sponsored. Back then, even when we used to have whole NAPE conference in Abuja, NAPE and itself as an organization, they have the volunteers committee, which I'm sure a lot of us know. So anyone you know who wants to volunteer, let those volunteer committees know. Do we have enough volunteers at the conference for ushering, for you name what? They're never enough. And for those people, NAPE takes care of them. I mean, I can say this clearly as a matter of fact, because by the grace of God, I'm the financial sec for NAPE, so I see all the budgets. I know there's money earmarked for volunteers. Now, of course, if we have 60 volunteers, does it mean we'll take all 60? Probably not. But if the person is active, there's a 90% chance you'll be taken. I also know that members who are working also sponsor people for the conference. I know last year, for instance, the president took it upon himself on a personal campaign. I'm not going to tell you how much was raised in that effect, but that money was used to sponsor students and lecturers to attend the conference. So the opportunities are there. It is how we decide to harness it. So the first thing first is make yourself available. When you make yourself available, other steps will follow. Now, let's say you make yourself available and you don't get the sponsorship this year. That's okay. Next year, make yourself available again, and the chance will come. Thank you. I think I see a hand somewhere.
Okay, thank you for that response. Thank you so much, Dr. Togile. Okay, before let me just call on Olaiton. I see that your hand is raised. Olaiton, Yeah, you can unmute yourself and
Thank you
then
so much,
make
Mr.
your
Sheon.
comments.
Thank you so much, Mr. Charles, for the wonderful session. So my question is, as a leader, like these responsibilities might sometimes get overwhelming because maybe as time goes on, you have to pick up some other things in terms of you trying to balance life and other things. So what do you do if it start getting too overwhelming? Do you just maybe like delegate duties or maybe tie it to a bigger purpose? What do you just do when these responsibilities are getting too overwhelming for you as a leader? Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Lighton. Trust me, if you remember our basic geography that says the higher you go, the cooler it becomes. Trust me, that's just geography. In leadership, the higher you go, the hotter it becomes. I can tell you. So, so you're right when you say it's overwhelming. Trust me, at every time it is overwhelming. But in the course of asking the question, you also answered it. When you learn as a leader to be delegating, you cannot do everything. You cannot do everything. I like the joke we sometimes make in the office, even though it's for something serious, we always tell ourselves, take it easy. Forgive me if I say it in pidgin English. Oh boy, take 'em easy. If you die, now 1 minute silence. And even at that, you might not even get that 1 minute fully because some people's phone will ring and they will answer it. So, what's my point? First, you learn to delegate. You handle this, you handle that. What are you doing? You are also in the process grooming future leaders. If you are leading a group or a team and they cannot do without you, you are not a leader. You are a dictator. If you are a good leader, whether you are there or not, things will move. That is what makes you fantastic. The team can run without you. This is whether in your organization or anywhere in life you find yourself with. You must learn to delegate so that you also free yourself from other things. And that's why in most organizations, you see emphasis around work-life balance because the expectation is you should know how to balance these two things. For me, as an individual, family is first. I mean, we should have had this uh, um, um, presentation last week, Saturday. I had to appeal to the YP leadership. Now, look, I have a family issue I need to deal with. So you can move it to today, or you get a replacement, and maybe some other time down the line, I can still come and speak. And I'm glad that the YP leadership graciously agreed and allowed me to speak and moved it to today. And this is me also saying apologies to the entire YP team for postponing the date, but I had to just deal with the family issues that came up. So we must learn to delegate and delegate to the right people. If you are in Nape, for all of you in YP, for instance, I'm sure you're planning your conferences. I'm sure you have your own subcommittees and activities you want to see during the conference. You, as a leader of that subcommittee, you can't be the one doing everything. Delegate, share the responsibility to others. That way, everybody in the team you're leading have a sense of belonging, and you also don't get overwhelmed with issues. And if someone is dropping the ball, it's easy for everybody to rally around him or her and pick it up, and then you succeed. So the key to it is you, and you answered it well in the course of asking the question, delegation.
Alaito, I don't know if you're fine with that. Uh,
Yes, thank you very much, sir.
all right.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. I'll read up one question I see here in the chat box, and then I have one more that has been sent to me, and I'll leave the floor for one more person. Else, we'll just try to end this Q&A session. So let me read up Sam's question in the chat box. Doctor, for a recent graduate of geophysics with no experience, what would you advise as a good way to go about gaining experience? especially as graduate trainee opportunities are difficult to land? Also, what professional courses would you recommend in order to bolster qualifications?
Good, very good question. And again, your question takes me back to when I was also a young graduate like yourself. We see job adverts in the newspapers then, particularly Tuesday Guardian, you know, because that's where you see all the job adverts, and it's frustrating when they tell you they need 5 years experience, 10 years experience, as the case may be, and we always go, so where are we going to get the experience from? From our parents' bedroom? Ways to go about it. One, um, a lot of companies these days offer graduate trainee opportunities. A lot of companies. So apply to all those companies. Second, keep an open mind. That you apply for graduate trainee opportunity in Seychelles or SLB, you don't get it, does not mean the other oil and gas companies don't do it. So apply for those opportunities, you will get them. Now, second bit, let's assume you don't get. Who do you know as a young geophysics graduate in the oil and gas industry that you can meet? And Nape offers you that platform. And that's why I tell people, attend those technical meetings. Attend any available Nape meeting, more so physically. You would see those geologists there. You will see the people at the secretariat there. If let's assume you don't know anybody in the industry, you have people at the secretariat. Hey, who is the head of secretariat? Lawrence, for example. I'm a NEPA member. This is my challenge. Who do you think I can talk to? And that is where having a mentor comes in. Because if you have a mentor, your mentor will know who you should talk to that can help you privately and begin to train you on some of these things. That's okay, you have zero skill, zero knowledge on, say, because you're a geophysicist, seismic interpretation. Okay, let me see how I can help you. And it will look for some innovative ways to help you pick up those skills. Maybe arrange for some sessions with you, for instance. I remember back then in Port Harcourt, I mean, some students then have sessions with them. They come to my house, we sit down, and I print one or two uh, um, um, logs, and we just begin to walk through. This is how you do log correlation, and some of those things. So that individual should look for a mentor. Apart from applying for the graduate trainee position, mentor that can point you in the right direction and give you skills. The other bit again is, whilst waiting for that big job opportunity to come, don't sit down idle. I mentioned before there are free certification courses online, so many. Today I know how to handle reservoir geomechanics. I did not attend any formal class or training for it. I did it online with Stanford University. And I have a certification for that. It was me deciding at that time I need to have these geomechanics skills. I went into it. So the opportunities abound. It is utilizing it. But when you have a mindset of, this is how I believe things should go, if it's not going that way, then frustration begins to come in. Remember, in one of the slides, I mentioned about being adaptable. So that's where adaptability comes in. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, Doc, for that response. And I have just one final question to read out, so that we can gradually come to the end of this segment of the leadership series. And the question is, when you spoke about problem solving, what do you do in a situation where you prefer a solution and it fails?
Oh, very simple. Try again. That's the simplest thing to do. So I give an example. We all know former US President Barack Obama. The first time he contested election for Congress in the US, he failed woefully. He did not even get enough votes to meet the threshold. But it didn't stop him. The next election, he contested, he won. 8 years later, he became the president of the US. So, assuming he gave up when he failed, he will never be the president of the US. We all know the scientist Thomas Edison, right? We use the light bulb everywhere. How many times did we read historically that he failed? 1,000 times. But he never gave up. And today we're all grateful to him for providing us with electric bulbs. So don't give up. Huh? Don't give up at all. Like someone described failure. He said failure is the first attempt in learning. That's what fail means. First attempt in learning. Who says because you did it the first time it will work? Sometimes we always think if it works, I get motivated. If it fails, that's when you should even get more motivated and say, oh, okay, he failed. All right, let's sit down. What made it fail? And if you do that post-mortem analysis very well, the answers will stare you in the face. And when you come at it again, you will do better. So let's not be scared of failure at all. Let's not be scared of failure. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for that response, Dr. Togile. What is necessary just to continue to make that attempt until we reach what we desire. Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. Before I let you go, let me call on the YP lead on whom the leadership of the young professionals is on, in the person of Flora and OCOB. Flora, please unmute and then you have the floor.
All right. Thank you, Sheon. Thank you so much, Dr. Charles. Or I didn't stay through the presentation, but from the comments, from the questions, I can see it was very, very impacting. And I think I would say the leadership of the Nape YP and the technical committee did a very good job in selecting this first speaker for the Nape YP Leadership Series 1.0. So I want to say a very big thank you on behalf of the leadership of Nape YP and the entire community. I also thank you for making out the time to share your knowledge with us as regards to leadership and encouraging us and impacting us with your years of experience. Thank you so much. I believe we've learned so much, and I also believe that we're going to apply all that we've learned today from your invaluable insights into our career and into our present job. Thank you so much for the time. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, Flora. Thank you, the entire YP leadership team and the entire YP community. I'm really grateful. I mean, the people mentored us to get to where we are. We're still growing. And the least we can do is also give back. Available anytime you need me for anything at all. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I see one hand
I'll
up
hold
there. I don't know.
I'll hold that to you, Dr. Charles. I'll hold that to
I
you.
think immediately I said it, I kind of regretted because I now said that I've played into Flora's hand now.
And you know me, right?
I know you. That's why I said I regretted.
All right, no problem. I'll be linear,
Thank
don't
you.
worry.
No problem. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right.
Can I leave or do you still need me here?
Okay, let's just listen to what Fashola, sorry, Adeyemi. In 5-10 seconds, I see your hand raised. I know we've ended this session, but again, let me just allow in 5-10 seconds, let me hear you speak. Can you unmute?
Yes, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, please confirm. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go on. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks so much, Dr. Charles. Thanks so much. This is a very great and nice presentation. My name is Fashola Toiv. I'm the liaison and program analyst analysis advisor for the Nigerian Gas Association. In fact, Doctor, I really appreciate your support. If you can do a similar section with us, this is a very great one. I've been in this program for the past 40 minutes, and I've really learned a lot. It's a very great one. Please, I don't mind if you can share with me your email or your contact, sir.
Okay, so
Thanks.
I'll say
Thank you so
this.
much.
I anything to do with young professionals, young people. I think I have a weak point and a soft spot for that, so not a problem. Through Sheon, through Flora, I'm sure you can get all my email address and phone number, and then we can discuss afterwards, so that Sheon will not say we are using YP Nape platform to be discussing Nigerian gas platform, right? But they have my details. They can share it with you,
Okay.
and you can always call me. Not a problem. I'm available.
All right. Okay. So Fashola, what's going to
All right.
happen
Thanks
is
so much,
the
Doctor.
PRA is
Yeah.
on the call at the moment. It will drop a contact or an email address for you to reach out to the executive of NAPI YP,
Well,
and then we'll
bless.
take it up from there. All right. Okay, thank you. Let me join my voice with the YP lead again to thank you so much, Dr. Charles Otogile. This is very enriching. This is very powerful. Thank you so much for even taking it upon yourself to give us, to share some time with us. Yes, we understand that this could have happened last week, but again, the fact that we are able to push it to this point, it was really worthwhile. Thank you so much for this session, Dr. Otogile. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes. So I will just call on the publicity secretary, Siloko, to take us through some announcements.
I believe I can go, right?
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, you can,
Thank you
sir.
so much. Thank you. You have a fruitful time. Bye.
Yeah, thank you, and you too, sir. So
Okay.
Siloko, over to you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Sheung. Yes. Good afternoon, everyone, once more again, and I hope you all enjoyed this very wonderful section. There's a lot more coming during the course of the month, and I just want to quickly just remind us of some of the activities that is lined up for the remaining part of the month, May. So the first of the series is just what we've had now with Dr. Charles Otogile, and the next series, which is the 2.0, comes up next Saturday, which is on the 11th of May. That will be with Mr. John Bosco Uche of FNAPE. And then we'll have another NAPE YPE week, Learn and Win week from 13th to 31st of May. Then we have our monthly technical workshop. Okay, we have a technical workshop coming up in Yola. So for those of us that have been keeping tabs with some of the activities we've been doing, we've been trying to reach out to a to part of the north that have not been really accessible all of this while. We've had technical sessions at Makurdi, at Kwara, at Nasarawa, and for the month of May, the one for Yola 2024 is coming up on the 18th. And of course, then we have the NAPE YP Mentors Hangout coming up on the 25th of May 2024. So make yourself available for this event. They are going to be very enriching. The one that is coming up immediately after this very one we've had now is the one coming up next week, Saturday, with Mr. John Bosco Uche. So mark your calendars for that. It's going to be very insightful like today on. And we'd like to see you there. Mr. Sheon, can you? Okay. So, in terms of payment of dues, this is to quickly urge all of us to ensure to make our monthly our membership to pay our membership dues. For student members, is 2,000 naira. Active members is 12,000. So, for those of us that have in mind of fully getting all of the benefits of membership or being a member of NAPE, Nape YP itself, it's encouraged that all of us apply for membership, and also pay for your membership dues. For those of us that want to even volunteer or take active positions in the future in Nape or Nape YP itself, there is need for you to do all of this, because without your membership dues or your membership ID, you cannot participate in any of that. So please feel free to reach out to the following numbers to make your payments and update your membership records. Seun, is there another announcement? Okay, so that will be all.
So
So I
that's the
really
last
want to
time.
thank. Yeah, that will be all. Miss Flora, I don't know if you have any final words before we end the call.
Um, Not at all. Just for them to so for ongoing forward, all of our records will be available to only those that are registered members of NAPE. And this is to help to encourage those for people to actually pay their membership dues and also upgrade their membership status. And so if you're not yet a NAPE member, I will encourage you to, it's just a yearly payment. It's just a one-time payment in a year. And I think it's something that's affordable if you feel NAPE is giving you much benefit in terms of your career growth and your networking opportunities. I feel it's fair enough to renew your membership dues. So please, I encourage everyone. I know it is not easy in the country, but please just try and pay your membership dues for the year. And that also help NAPE to do more better and also help us, getting funds to actually, do more programs that will benefit the community. Thank you so much.
All right. Chuku Godwin, you sent a question on the chat box. How can I upgrade my membership? So what I would say is you can reach out to that email address that was dropped by the YP lead, and then we'll take it up from there. Your contacts can be shared, and then you'll be reached out to. Thank you, Flora. Thank you, Siloko. And I think on this note, I really want to thank over 30 people that joined this conversation, this Leadership Series 1.0. I look forward to having you all again. Share the word to every other person around you. Make sure you are not partaking, you're not enjoying this alone, so that they can join us next week as announced by Siloko, the Publicity Secretary. And on this note, I wish you all a restful weekend. Have a nice day and see you next time.
Thank you so much, Seun. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you.